All right, let's move on to still the Standard newspaper. And I'd like us to cross over to page 4 of the Standard newspaper. And page 4, there are two stories I'd like us to look at. First, I'd like us to look at that it is the end of cheap loans, and MPs have a final say on rate caps. Bichachi, you're smiling. Did you see this coming? Because, no. I mean, it came as a self-relief for so many Kenyans who have loans and who are intending to take loans. But the court says for the next 1 year, banks will go back to their rating.
Yes. For me, the rate caps came at a very good time. I had a very huge loan to pay back. So thank God I paid it back in that time. I had many millions to pay. But that said, first, this is a double-edged sword. Mm-hmm. When the rate caps came in, banks decided that loaning to government was more lucrative than loaning to businesses and small business owners such as ourselves. So there was the relief for those people who already had loans, in the sense that at least now the interests were less and they were controllable and they were manageable. Because what used to happen before is your bank would wake up and decide, by the way, it was 16%, but now it's 18%. Sinisa, you pay us. So now that was a relief. But on the other side, the lending rate to citizenry in Kenya has reduced. So it's a bit of a catch-22, because now we were operating with a country where our business people could not access loans. So the question has to be asked, is it better to have an expensive loan than no loan at all? That's the real question.
All right.
You see, so I am very keen, not in terms of how the banks would react, because the banks, their reaction is obvious. So you're going to go back to 18, 19, 20%. That's what they will do. My question is, do we have the right parliament to figure this out?
In fact,
that is the key question.
Yeah, let me ask Joy that. Are we likely to see members of parliament having mercy on Kenyans? Because they only have 1 year, actually, to look at the decision they made while in parliament. But for the next 12 months, it is the CBK that will control the lending rates.
In fact, when I saw the headline, the thought that came to my head is the only people who have cheap loans in Kenya are MPs. The ones who get mortgages for 3% and ridiculous amounts, and they pay back within very friendly terms. I mean, and that is part of the tragedy of this entire situation, is that our leaders actually insulated from what the rest of us go through. If they had to go through what we go through to access credit, if they had to pay back at the same rate that we had to pay back, if you're looking for a mortgage and you had to go, like I remember the first time we tried to get a mortgage with my husband, the rate we were being given was 27%. So when I was talking with my friends in other jurisdictions, they were like, a mortgage for over 20 years, why would it be 27%? Even at 2%, the bank will have made back its money and more. But in Kenya, it was a free-for-all. So in Kenya, we have a very bad culture of insulating our leaders from the consequences of their decisions. And what that does is they make decisions based on lobbying, who took them to Diani and kept them there for a week. And those things now come back to boomerang on us. And them, when they leave parliament, because when they leave parliament, they come back to the real world and they realize, hey, Kumbe, I was living in utopia for 5 years. So the challenge is on them to start being realistic. And also, our Parliamentary Service Commission needs to start also weaning them off of these things. If Kenyans are going to go back to expensive loans, the MPs should also go back to expensive loans. Because you are our leaders. Why are you telling us, you guys, yes, go to battle, here are the guns, off you go, and you're sitting down sipping tea? We have to come to a place where we are all in this together. And so the challenge,
sipping the hot tea, we all sip the hot tea.
Yes, let's all go together.
Let me bring in a quick one.
Just a quick one. Joy has said something that is important. We must understand that the loans we were getting were also not cheap. 12, 13% is much higher than what it is internationally. A credit card in the United States, if you pay 4%, it is too high. A mortgage in the United States, 2%. There are loans at 0.5%. So in Africa, Africa is the only continent where banks are still making profits because we make 12, 13%. So even what we are calling cheap loans, they are relatively cheaper because because we were being robbed blind, but we've not really mended the problem.
Okay. And I mean, you come from the Third Way Alliance Party where it's a matter of punguza mzigo, but this mzigo, haipunguzwi, inaendelea tu kupanda. So, I mean, are we likely to have hope when it comes to, when we look at members of parliament, because it's been taken back to them? You made the decision, amend it.
If you listen to what Joy and Mark is saying, this is a fact of leadership. And he has given a very good example in Africa. It is about leadership. Look at the parliament. We are pegging our hopes in a rotten parliament, a horrible parliament, where what gets to their stomach is more important than what gets to the people's stomach. And that is why we have to fight tooth and nail to ensure that we have a proper leadership, especially in parliament. I'll give you an example. These loans, you know, the banks in this country are very exploitative. But if you look at the how the parliament negotiate their rates vis-a-vis how the public negotiate their rate with the banks, it's very different. They enjoy so many perks at a lower rate. That means they're very selfish. So we don't expect the parliament to protect the public even after that time. Even if you have to give them 100 years, they won't, because to them is what is in it for me.
So are you saying that even
what I'm saying
within
is,
this 1 year they've been given by the
within
court?
1 year, I can promise, and we'll come back and discuss, there's nothing. Kenyans are on their own. And that's why now we must make institutions work. If we are going to create an environment where you can do business and walk to the bank and get your money and repay within a given period of time with ease, then that is the environment that Kenyans want. And that environment comes with good leadership.
Okay.
Good leadership means we must change right from the electoral system to the governance system.
All right.
It means the entire system is rotten. The banks want to make money where there's no money. The leadership want to make money where there's no money. And that's why today people walk scot-free, and they have stolen.
It's interesting. Let's wait and see if the banks will immediately go back to their rates after that court ruling yesterday.
This is today morning. Actually, this is like petroleum. When you increase the prices, before midnight, when it is
looks like the matatus you wait, ongeza fare, and it goes immediately.
All right. This is what it is.